A big hello to all of you. I am Brinda, faculty member, English Department SuperGrads, and today I'd like to share some useful strategies to deal with para-jumbles. Now, para-jumbles is an essential component in almost all entrance tests these days because it helps the universities help or evaluate your command or hold on English language. So you can expect at least 3 to 5 questions based on para-jumbles in any entrance test. So let's begin. Now, what is para-jumble? Para-jumble is a paragraph that has been jumbled. So you are required to either sequentialize or put the sentences back in order. Now let's look at the types of para-jumbles. Broadly speaking, there are three types. The first one being open para-jumble. In this one, only the options will be given. You would be asked or required to sequentialize the entire set of sentences that would be in front of you. Closed para-jumbles. In this one, the first and the last option, that is the first and the last sentence would be fixed. You would have to unjumble the rest of the sentences that would be there in the middle. Theta type. That is the type in the answer type. Questions are the non-MCQ questions wherein you need to key in or type in your answer. Now, dealing with para-jumbles can either be a pain in the neck or a piece of cake, depending on how well you're equipped to handle these para-jumbles. Well, if you are equipped with the right strategies, it can definitely be a walk in the park. So let's look at some useful strategies. Now, right in front of you is a para-jumble, which is fixed. The first and the sixth sentence are there. It's a closed para-jumble. Now, you can pause the screen and try to unjumble the rest of the sentences. The options are given below. Now, before I give you the answer to the para-jumble discussed, let me give you a very useful strategy that will help you deal with the para-jumbles effectively. Now, according to this rule, according to this strategy, never try to start arranging sentences as you try to unjumble the sentences. Instead, start with the answer options and see if you can work your way around it. Let's do this with the help of an example, the very example that I asked you to handle. Now see, advocates of the space program argue for spending huge amounts of money on exploring Mars. That's the first sentence, which is fixed. Now let's look at the answer choices. Let's say if I begin with option A, beginning with S. Let's see if this will fit in there. These enthusiasts. Now, what are we referring to when I say these enthusiasts? Advocates of the space program, right? So, looks good. Let's put this on hold. What if I wanted to start it with Q? Worst, nobody has any idea what undesirable microbes or poisonous material we will be importing from Mars. Well, looks like bit contradictory, right? So probably it's good to eliminate it. What if I started it with P? But there is no firm evidence of any valuable mineral that can be extracted from Mars and transported to Earth. Well, see, if I put the two sentences together, they might work well. So let's put this one on hold. What if I started? Well, I know I can start it with S. It was a good choice because these enthusiasts matches perfectly with the first statement. So let's look at the combination SP. Let's see if this will work together. So advocates of space program argue for spending huge amounts of money on exploring Mars. These enthusiasts argue that Mars could be a perennial source of materials for us Earthlings. R. They are also unrealistic. Now see, who are they? We are again talking about advocates of space program. So it looks like that these three sentences are in sync. So this one looks like a good answer choice. Let's look at the last option as well. But worst, nobody has any idea what undesirable microbes or poisonous materials we will be importing from Mars. So it looks like all of them, if I take option A, the sentences are in sync. And did you realize how did I choose my answer based on the answers or the options that were given instead of trying to unjumble the sentences that were there? So that's one very useful strategy that will help you get your answer. Now let's look at rule number 2. A normal paragraph should not begin with something like a this, that, it, he, she, or any other pronoun for that matter. A paragraph should begin with a generalized statement and should narrow down to specifications. Let's look at this with the help of an example. Now, the next example is on your screen, so you can pause the screen and have a look at the example and try to unjumble it yourself. Let's discuss the answer. Now, the first line, which is fixed, says it's only in the last 3 years that we have seen the rebirth of TB. So, we are talking about the rebirth of TB. Let's see what line could be in sync with this statement. What bothers the experts is the emergence of a particularly patent strains of TB bacteria. It looks like a good start that goes well with the first statement. This is compounded by the fact that the symptoms disappear in 2 months. Now, see, we are in the first statement, we were just talking about the rebirth of TB, and this statement would not go well with the first one. So, this cannot be your first statement. So, you could always eliminate option C. 3 or 4 anti-TB drugs are available at no cost in some clinics. Yet, again, the long period of treatments like leads to non-compliance with the treatment. And then the last statement says, in such cases, a relapse occurs and the bacteria appears more virulent. Now we need something that can go well with the first statement, which appears to be sentence number B, because it's continuing or supporting the first thought that was expressed in sentence number 1. So if I take option number A, that is P, as my first sentence, so this becomes it's only in the last 3 years that we have seen the rebirth of TB. What bothers experts is the emergence of particularly patent strains of TB bacteria. See, it's going really well with the first statement. It's continuing the same thought. Then let's see if Q fits in well. This is compounded by the fact. Now see, what is compounded by the fact? The previous statement, the emergence of particular patent strain of TB bacteria, that the symptoms disappeared in 3 months. Are 3 to 4 anti-TB drugs are available at no cost. So now we are coming to the next section. Yet the long period of treatment leads to non-compliance with the treatment. In such cases, a relapse occurs. So this makes option A the most appropriate answer choice. Let's look at rule number 3. Now, a para-jumble, like I already said, should begin with a generalized statement and should narrow down to a specific statement. That is how it will work always. Specific references or examples cannot precede generalized statements. Let's look at this with the help of an example. You can pause your screen and have a look. Let's look at the answer choice now. Now, this is an open parajumble where you don't have the first and the last statements fixed. It's an open parajumble. You just have been given the options, so you need to work your way out. Now, poverty in India needs to be eradicated completely. Unemployment has hovered around the country for many years. Problems of India need to be eliminated before they take India down the drain. China, in spite of having issues, has always overcome them and emerged a winner. By 2020, India will be seen as an emerging market. This looks more like towards a conclusion. Today, India has other positive aspects to look at rather than just discuss these problems. So, this definitely cannot be your first statement. China, in spite of having issues, will be an example to support what we have already said. So, this cannot be your opening statement. Employment has hovered and poverty in India. These are just the specifications of a problem. Now, option C. We cannot begin a sentence with F. We've already seen that. E looks like conclusive. So we cannot start our sentence with the para with option E. So we'll eliminate B as well, option B, and again we'll eliminate option D. Well, we just got lucky that we have 4 options and one of them looks like a broad introductory statement and we have the answer. This is how it will work. You work around looking for a broad statement that will introduce a thought to you and then you narrow it down to specifications. Let's see if this one works. Problems in India need to be eliminated. So we are talking about the problems that India is facing. Then C, if we put option A, poverty needs to be eradicated. This is one problem. Employment has hovered around the country for many years. This is the other problem. So gradually they are introducing what problems are being faced by India. D. China, in spite of having many issues, has always overcome them and emerged a winner. F. Today, India has other positive aspects to look at. Rather than just discuss these problems, they're coming towards a solution now. E. By 2020, India will be seen as an emerging market. See how conclusive this sentence looks, right? So, this is the right order of this paragraph. Now, let's look at rule number 4. This one is called pairing. Now, pairing technique will not only help you eliminate the other answer choices, but also help you get the answer very accurately and very quickly. And you can also look for introductory and conclusive statements while trying to unjumble the paragraph. Now, let's look at an example to understand this better. Now, let's see. An electric circuit, well, this is a closed para-jumble as you can see. An electric circuit is an opening fixed line and carry electricity. That's a closed fixed line. Now, you need to unjumble the middle options that are there. So, let's deal with this together. Now see, let's try and look for some pairs, which is of wires designed to is a circle. Well, I feel is a circle of wires. So SQ could be a good pair. See, is a circle of wires, right? So let's look at the options which have SQ as one of the pairs. So that's option A and option D, which show SQ as pairs. So it would be a good strategy to eliminate the other answer choices. Now let's see if we can get the answers out of these. So electric circuit is a circle of wires which is designed to carry electricity. R and S also look connected. So that makes A the most appropriate answer choice. See how easy it is. Using some techniques and you get your answer right. Just like this. Okay, the next one. Rule 5. Now this helps immensely if at all there is data, statistics or time period given in the paragraph. Let's look at an example. Again, you can pause the screen and try to get the answer and then we'll discuss it together. Now, let's look at the options. Again, this one is an open para-jumble where the first and the fixed statements are not fixed. So we can look for introductory statement, conclusive statement, we can look for mandatory pairs, and we can look for pronouns or even articles to help us sequentialize this paragraph. Let's see. Cities like Mathura, Meerut, and Varanasi have duly suffered because of this. This cannot be an opening sentence because this will refer to something else that has already been said somewhere in the paragraph. Lucknow, Kanpur have seen progress in recent years, but administration has not changed. This looks more like an example of something. The author is trying to stress on something through these cities. So this doesn't look like an opening statement. Back then, definitely not an introductory statement. The state. If they've written the state, it's definitely not the first statement because the state would have been referred to somewhere earlier in the paragraph. UP is one of the many states in India which have seen political turmoil, further leading to a number of problems. See, they're talking about UP, which is one of the states in India and is facing some political turmoil. Looks like a good introductory statement, doesn't it? Let's put this one on hold. The picture is not so bright and it will succumb to pressures building up in the state. Now, all the other statements are in present tense. This statement alone is in future tense. This looks like more of a conclusive statement. Now, let's look at the answer choices. Now, we know for sure that option C cannot be the opening statement. Eliminate. Again, eliminate. So, out of 4 answer choices, we have already eliminated 2. We are left with 2. Now, let's see which one makes more sense. Oh, they're both beginning with E. So UP is one of the many states in India which has seen political turmoil. further leading to a number of problems. Let's see what problems is it facing. So it's out of E or D. Now let's see if we can place F or D soon after E. The state has seen its highs and lows. Well, the first statement talks about the problems, and the second statement talks about the highs and the lows. Looks good. Let's see what option F has to say. The picture is not so bright and it will soon succumb. Well, this looks more like a conclusive statement, so we can eliminate this and let's see if D, option D, makes sense. So, UP is one of the many states which has seen political turmoil. The state has seen its highs and lows. Back then, UP was considered the royal house for English. Lucknow, Kanpur have seen progress in recent years, but administration has not changed. Cities like Mathura, Meerut, Varanasi have duly suffered because of this. Now see, B and A are pair sentences also. Then finally F, the picture is not so bright and it will succumb to pressures building up in the state. See, this is how you try to unjumble the given sentences and try to put them in the right order and get your answer right in a matter of minutes, seconds. Now let's look at some questions together. The first one is on your screen, so you can pause the video and try to do this yourself. And then we'll do it together. Now, as you can see, this one is a closed para-jumble where the first and the last statements are fixed. Now, let's work on this together. Money is not the root of all evils. Or, what about the desire for power driving people to horrible crimes? Even purposeless cruelty can be seen in many instances of evil behavior. For example, neither teachers nor parents profit in any way by torturing children. The evils of sexual offenders are not motivated by financial gains. No, we can say that money is the root of some evil. Now it looks like option 1 and Q are in sync. See, money is not the root of all evils. Even purposeless cruelty can be seen in many instances of evil behavior. The second statement, statement Q, is only supporting the first statement. We can also look at the answer choices. See, what if we try to put S after was? Money is not the root of all evils. The evil of sexual offenders are not motivated by financial gains. See, it's not in sync with the first statement. You can always eliminate this answer choice. What if you put R? For example, neither teachers nor parents profit in any way by torturing children. Well, this is not exactly supporting the first statement, so you can eliminate option C. As we've already seen, Q supports sentence first very well. So this is close. And now out of option A and D, we need to finalize our answer. So even purposeless cruelty can be seen in many instances of evil behavior. For example, neither teachers nor parents profit in any way by torturing children. Now here, it's a purpose cruelty that we are talking about. So this example is only supporting option Q. So that means Q and R are also paired sentences. Now, option A supports the fact and option D does not. So we can eliminate option D and let's see if this is the right answer choice. So then let's try to place P. Or what about the desire for power driving people to horrible crimes? The evils of sexual offenders are not motivated by financial gains. No, we can say that money is the root of some evil. See how they have specified or narrowed it down from a generalized statement to some specifications. Moving on to the next question. You can pause the screen and then work around it. Let's look at the answer, or let's see how to get the answer in this one. This one is a closed para-jumble. Even the smallest insect of the living world is made up of a large number of cells. Furthermore, the cells in these small creatures widely differ in their structure and function. An ant, a gnat, for example, is composed of hundreds of thousands of cells. Even a mite has cells making up its skeletal structure. It also has cells dedicated to digestive and reproductive functions. Now, it seems that R and S are paired sentences because this one is talking about a singular mite and it will represent the singular mite because these are plural And then again, in these small creatures, we are talking about plural creatures here. So R and S are essentially a paired sentence. Now let's see which sentence supports R and S as paired sentences. Well, one is option D, and then it's option B, and then it's option A. Well, it has to be R first and S later, so we can eliminate A and we can put option B or option D on hold. Now let's see. Even the smallest insects in the living world is made up of large number of cells. And then if we place R, even a mite has cells making up its skeletal system. This doesn't really go well with the first statement. How about we put option P now? Furthermore, the cells in these small creatures now widely differ in their structure and function. An ant, a gnat, for example. P and Q also look like mandatory paired sentences. So, because they are again exemplifying the small creatures. So, it's option D that's satisfying all the conditions and is looking like a good paragraph in shape. Let's put all of them together. Even the smallest insect of the living world is made up of large number of cells. A gnat, for example, is composed of hundreds and thousands of cells. Furthermore, the cells in these small creatures widely differ in their structure and function. Even a mite has cells making up its skeletal structure. It also has cells dedicated to digestive and productive functions. The cell systems or small organisms is microscopic but marvelous, isn't it? See, this is how you get your answers. Let's look at another question. Almost a century ago, when the father of modern automobile industry, Henry Ford, sold the first Model T car, he decided that only the best would do for his customers. Today, it is committed to delivering the finest quality with over 600 vehicles a year in over 200 countries across the world. And for over 90 years, this philosophy has endured in the Ford Motor Company. Thus, a vehicle is ready for consumer only if it passes the Ford Zero Defect program. It's a open para-jumble. Let's see how to get the answer. Now we need to look for a broad opening statement. We can look for paired sentences. We can look for conclusive statements. We can look for a pattern that is from generalized to specific, or if at all there is data, time, or statistics that has been given in the question. Now this one says C. Uh, Option A. Almost a century ago, when the father of modern automobile industry, Henry Ford, sold the first car, he decided that only the best would do for his customers look like a broad introductory statement. So, O. Option A, B, and C. They already begin with A. Let's see if C can work as an opening statement. And for 90 years, eliminate. Now let's see if we can find a paired sentence for option A. Today it is committed. Now, it would not refer to Henry Ford. It could refer to his company. So, A and B would not be paired sentences. We can eliminate this choice. A and C. And for 90 years, this philosophy. Which philosophy? That only the best would do for his customers. So, A and C look like mandatory pairs. Today, it is committed to delivering the finest quality with 600 vehicles a year in over 200 countries. Thus, a vehicle is ready for a customer only if it passes the zero. See, it looks like this is a conclusive statement. So we can place D after C and then we can put B. So option B would be your right answer choice. Now let's look at some data type questions, that is type in the answer type questions which are non-MCQ. So the options would not be there and you would have to key in or type in your answer. So the first one is on your screen. You can pause the video and we'll do this together. Some of us, as a result, gain an overall impression of people as either all good or all bad, making further assumptions on this basis. An example of the assumption some patients make that doctors with a good bedside manner are also some technically competent as others who do not relate as well to their patients. This is what psychologists refer to as halo effect. We have a strong tendency of associating positive attributes with other positive attributes and negative ones with each other. Now let's see how to deal with this. We have a strong tendency of associating positive attributes and negative attributes. Looks like a broad introductory statement. So if this is sentence number one, let's find something that is in sync with this thought. Some of us, as a result, gain an overall impression of people as either all good or all bad, making further assumptions on this basis. See, doesn't it look like sentence number two? It's taking the thought beautifully further. It's further elaborating the first statement that we've just read. An example of assumption some patients make that doctors with this are competent as others who do not relate to the patient. See, this is exemplifying the second statement. So this becomes your sentence number three. This is what psychologists refer to as halo effect. A very conclusive statement, I'd say. Sentence number four. So this is how you find your answers in the theta type questions. Now let's look at another question of the same type. The rival captains introduce their players to the dignitaries. The players march to the ground. A function on a modest scale marked the commencement of the football match between the two renowned teams. The players were lined up to be introduced to the chief guest. They took their positions in the ground. The sound of the whistle marked the beginning of the match. Now, which sentence, according to this, looks like an opening statement to you? It should be a broad, opening, introductory statement. Well, certainly is sentence number C. Now, see, a function on modest scale marked the commencement of the football match between the two teams. So this becomes your sentence number one. The rival captains introduce their players to the dignitaries, becomes sentence number two. Then the players march to the ground, sentence number three. See, it's all happening in an order. They took their positions in the ground and the sound of the whistle marked the beginning of the match. Conclusive statement, right? The next one. Walmart has increased its Procter & Gamble diaper business by 50% and cut inventory by 70% because of this collaboration. Several years ago, senior executives from Procter & Gamble and Walmart met for 2 days. As a result of this meeting, a team of Procter & Gamble employees moved to Bentonville, Arkansas, Walmart's headquarters, to work with Walmart executives on productivity and quality issues. They wanted to explore how they could jointly apply quality management principles to the disposable diaper business. Well, could you find the basic introductory statement? Well, you're right. It is option number B. This one will talk about, actually, it focuses more on the time. So, several years ago, senior executives from Procter & Gamble and Walmart met for 2 days. Sentence number one. They will talk about the senior executives of both the companies. So this becomes sentence number two. As a result of this meeting, well, has been discussed in the first and the second sentence. This becomes sentence number three. Walmart has increased. We're back to present tense. Sentence number four. Isn't that a piece of cake? Now back to another sentence. Profits have increased reach. Through 1984, founder Turner had lost $77 million pursuing his dream of CNN as a full-scale network. But in 85, Black Ink appeared for the first time with the network earning $13 million and on $123 million in revenue. By 1992, the number had grown to almost 60 million in US alone. When the cable news network went on air on 1st June 1980, it had secured access to about 7 million cable subscribers, far short of the 7.5 minimum founder Ted Turner needed to cover 50% of the operating costs. I guess this one is the easiest of all. There's an order, there is time grab that they've referred to. So let's just see. Now let's see. Can sentence A be your opening sentence? Profits have accompanied increased reach? No. Eliminate. Option D. When the cable network went on air on 1st June 1980, see 1980, 1992, 1984. This one is a piece of cake. So if this is my sentence number one, let's see if C will fit. By 1992, but we still have 1985 and 1984 to consider. So this cannot be the answer choice. How about option D? So it went on air in 1980. Then option B, through 1984 and 1985, by 1992, option C, and then back to present tense. profits have increased their reach. See how easy that was. All right, moving on. Modern technology as a whole, however, would have been impossible but for the scientist, and the more sophisticated it has grown, the more central has been his role. To be a technologist does not necessarily require either scholarly training in science or the formal title of scientist. Technology, in its broadest sense, is the application of knowledge to practical purposes. Ages ago, this was proved by inventors of the plow and the pulley and the wheel and the windmill. All of today's important advances are of his making. Now, don't you think sentence C looks like a broad introductory statement, and sentence E is a very conclusive statement that's trying to conclude whatever has been discussed in the first few sentences? Now, let's deal with this together. Now, like I said, technology in its broadest sense is the application of knowledge to practical purposes. See, your introductory statement would be an introduction to a thought. The entire paragraph that is to follow will talk about technology and its application of knowledge. So, this one becomes your sentence number one. To be a technologist does not necessarily require either scholarly training in science or formal title of a scientist. This is only taking the thought further. So, first you're talking about technology, and then you're talking about technologists. Ages ago, this was proved by inventors of the plow and the pulley and wheel and the windmill. Now, this refers to the idea that to be a technologist, you really don't need scholarly training. So, ages ago, when they invented plow, pulley, wheel, and windmill, they did not have a scholarly training, but still they went ahead and did it. So this is further elaborating sentence number two. So this becomes your sentence number three. Modern technology. Now we are coming gradually to modern technology from the past. As a whole, however, would have been impossible but for the scientists, and the more sophisticated it has grown, the more central has been his role. All of important advances are his making. Who's making? The scientist making. So this becomes your fifth and the most conclusive statement. Now let's look at another one. Is time real or unreal? Yet the mere asking of them stretches the mind, and in the search for the answers, though it may prove unsuccessful, can still reveal much about time and the universe we inhabit. None of these questions have been answered to everyone's satisfaction, and some of them may never be answered to anyone's satisfaction. Does it move in one direction, or is it reversible? Does it have a beginning or an end, or is it infinite? Now, how about we put all the questions together and then put the answers to get our order right? Then, see. Is time real or unreal is a broad opening statement. So this becomes your sentence number one. Now, does it move in one direction or is it reversible? Clearly becomes sentence number two. Does it have a beginning or is it end or is it infinite? Generally, the writer tends to put all the rhetorical questions together to make emphasis or to put emphasis on whatever he's trying to say. So, sentence A, D, and E become your first, second, and third statement. Now, let's see if he tries to answer the question. None of these questions have been answered. See, so you put the questions first and then you try to tell us whether these have been answered or they have not been answered. So this clearly becomes your sentence number four because it's directly in sync with the first three statements. So none of these questions has been answered to everyone's satisfaction and some of them may never be answered to anyone's satisfaction. So what we are left with will become your conclusive statement. Still, let's see whether it is in sync or not. Yet, the mere asking of them stretches the mind and in search of the answers, though it may prove unsuccessful, can still reveal much about time. See? And the universe we inhabit. This is how you try to find the answers to any para-jumble that's given to you.